Orphic Hymns Grimoire by Sara Mastros, illustrated by Brian Charles. This is actually the second edition. The very first edition was published by Sara Mastros herself, and it was incredibly popular. I believe it was kick-started, in fact, and well, to the point that Hadean Press decided to publish this second edition, and what a beautiful job they've done of it. A completely fitting a container for the Orphic Hymns Grimoire. So I'll talk a little bit about the contents in a few moments, but before I open the book, I just want to take a few seconds here to acknowledge the extraordinary workmanship. Look at this cover with the kind of purple and teal two-tone material on the cover here is just absolutely gorgeous. And then this, the white stamp on the front. It's one of the larger books that I've seen coming out of Hadean Press. I'm trying to think. I don't have all of Hadean Press's books, that's without a doubt, but it's certainly among their larger ones. Yeah, very, very nice. So let's talk a little bit about the contents. So Sara Mastros starts off with a little introduction talking about the nature of translation. So this really is Sara's translation of the Orphic hymns, with lots and lots of additional material, right? And I'll talk about the additional material, which really is Sara's translation is great. It's really interesting. It's fresh. It's new. It uses quite a modern English, right? So her introduction really here talks about how she has decided to translate this from the perspective of someone thinking to themselves, how would this be written nowadays in English? and is giving a sense of what was initially intended, right, by whoever wrote the Orphic hymns. Of course, the Orphic hymns are attributed to Orpheus, but yeah, whoever in fact wrote those hymns. So that's the first introduction. Then there's this introduction to the second edition, which is great, where she talks about her role as a hermeneutes. So talking about what a hermeneutes in fact is, and then gives a ritual for inviting your own hermeneutes to lighten the path of discovery for you, and very, very cool ritual there. And then a description on how to use the book itself. So it's really very approachable, very very beginner friendly, but there's plenty here to dig your teeth in if you've been at the game for a little while, if that makes sense. A little introduction on what the Orphic hymns in fact are. So let me just get to the core here, and where to begin? I mean, first of all, these beautiful illustrations. You'll notice that they are in the style of a colouring in book, right? And that's actually not by accident. Sara Mastros recommends making a copy of these and colouring in the copy as you approach this particular deity, right? So each chapter, it varies. Some of the chapters only have her translation of the hymn. As some of the chapters are much, much longer. So there'll be the translation of the hymn, and then there'll be a description of the deity, and then in some situations you'll get some PGM rituals, some PGM sorcery. Actually directly taken from the PGM and adapted to the modern reader, of course. And it's just great. It's really involving. So the idea is that you're getting the hymn, you're getting an introduction to the deity, him or herself, and finally you're getting an initiation into the presence of that deity, right? Sometimes it's an initiation. In certain circumstances, certain cases, it's a spell, right? It's just a spell that calls upon that deity. Just really nice, really approachable, really. This is a book that I can recommend to someone who's never worked with the PGM, someone who's unfamiliar with the Greek gods. They'll be able to pick this up and start working and start getting results and start approaching those deities satisfactorily and powerfully. I think it's absolutely wonderful. So I'm taking just a little disclaimer here. I'm currently taking Jack Grail's PGM course, PGM Praxis, 50 Rites for 50 Nights. I'm just really appreciating Sara's takes on the PGM rituals and rites, and just making them accessible and possible to use for the modern day practitioner. There we go. That's pretty much it. And then there are a couple of cool appendices at the very back. Let me see if I can find them. So yes, the first appendix, if I remember correctly, is about making your own Orphic hymn, which is cool. A really nice idea, outlining the full process, like very practically, what the full process of creating your own Orphic hymn would be. Here we go. Yes, writing original Orphic hymns. So that's really very cool. And then what do we have next? There is the second appendix is working with icons. So this is where she describes how you can actually go ahead and work with those icons. So beautifully illustrated by Brian Charles there, all the way through. There is another appendix, which is the ritual of Orphic self-initiation. It's a very nice ritual there. And then what else do we have? One more, offering cookies. So lovely recipe for creating cookies, which Sara, when she was little, she writes, I was told that that was because our ancestors used these cookies as offerings in their pagan worship of snakes. So do I. There we go. So this is Sara's recipe for cookies for offerings to the spirits. So that's really nice. And then a nice long bibliography and sources used in individual hymns. So quite a complete, complex book. And as I was saying in the beginning, a very fittingly beautiful edition of it. It's all hand sewn, of course, as Hadean Press has got us used to, which is really lovely. And all in all, I think this is a book to be put into any hands quite confidently. I think that if you're interested in any way in the Greek deities and working with maybe making your first steps with the PGM, this is a great way to do that. I honestly think so. I think it's lovely and very affordably priced at that. So that's really great. I'll leave links down in the description, as I always do, of course. And if you enjoyed the video and you found it useful in any way, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe down below, of course, if you'd like to see more reviews of this kind. I'm just thinking that maybe one more thing to say is that I'm going to say that there is maybe About 50% of the deities who have some additional information, right? That might be not exactly right, but it's a rough estimation, right? I particularly liked the initiation for Artemis, where you're basically taking on the persona of a bear, which is really very, very cool. Anyway, I'll let you discover all of that in your own time. Yeah, strongly recommend this one. Take care of yourselves. See you soon with another video. Bye-bye.